And the innie is the one, if you've ever done Kegels, I don't know if you guys do Kegels. I do Kegels regularly because it's really good for, prostate health and all that. So I do Kegels pretty regularly.
How many nerve endings does the clitoris have?
Oh, like
7,342. Science is supposed to be a standalone. It's supposed to be a standalone conversation. It's supposed to be a set bunch of variables. It's supposed to be quantifiable. It's supposed to be controlled. It's science. But that's not where we are now. We're not there anymore. And I don't know how we get back to that.
can you fathom, McShane, can you fathom the idea that libraries would be defunded 20 years ago,
No.
30 years
No.
ago when we were in
No.
high school?
No, that's 1984 shit.
You're about to listen to Whiskey Hell Podcast, a show centered on recent news, excellent craft beer, and absolute debauchery. While the guys are getting ready, you can reach them on Twitter at whiskey_hell. You can also go to the whiskeyhellpod.com or email them at whiskeyhellpod@gmail.com. At the end, be sure to drop them a review as a thank you for the content. Looks like they're ready. Enjoy the show. And listener discretion is advised.
Ten, nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Saturday night, 7:43. It is April 15th. This is Whiskey Hell. This is your news. Fitz, how was your week?
My week? My week was okay. It was all right. It was pretty unremarkable, actually. It was, it was busy. It was a busy week, and busy's good for
Okay.
me.
Yep.
Idle hands they do the devil's work or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't touch myself, but I'm just saying, I was busy enough that I didn't only touch myself.
What exactly is the devil's work? I mean, what do we know what that actually, what that breaks out to? Like, if we were going to say, if we were going to go to a Sunday mass, what exactly is the devil's work?
I think basically anything that gives you pleasure. So, don't do drugs, don't drink, don't masturbate, don't have sex unless it's to make a child. And even then you shouldn't enjoy it. I guess you can laugh, but even that, if you laugh too much for too long, the devil starts to creep in your anus because it's kind of open when you laugh.
Somebody said online, I can't remember, it was either a meme or somebody just justifying how shitty their day was. But they were talking about having two anuses, like an inside anus and an outside anus. Is that accurate?
I mean, there are two sphincters there. Yeah.
I see. I never knew that.
Oh, well, I mean, you could, talk to your doctor about it and he could, give you a demo.
Talk to me about my double anus, my anus 1 and anus 2.
Oh shit! We should do a drug commercial for that. Hey, is one of your anuses prolapsed? Well, try prolapsophagia. But talk to your doctor. Side effects may include death, nausea, 4 children. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that, but
No, you're going exactly where we needed to go with that because it's been quite a week. I know we keep saying that.
Right?
It's almost like people listen to the show and they kind of wait for us to go ahead and say something like that. And we don't mean to, but seriously, it was another barn burner of a week.
Yeah.
We've got hit pieces. The Dalai Lama said something. We've got so much New York Post stuff that it's just amazing. We've got a Gen X pops up, which here's to us for not calling ourselves out as Gen Xers, but we should from time to time. because we are kind of crotchety. We've been there, seen that. None of this stuff that everybody's doing these days, the Gen Zers, don't fuck with us. We know shit, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean there's a few of them out there. There's a few videos out there of just people who are Gen Xers, just going down the list of shit that we had to do that I say kids today, but anybody basically under the age of 35 will have no idea about because we we made it somehow. But people were like, whoa, this is really unsafe. We shouldn't have kids do these things, or we shouldn't let kids do these things. And so it all kind of got the kibosh put on it. But we grew up in we are not the same.
We truly aren't.
We really are not the same. And it's okay. I want to fully acknowledge and respect the other generations.
Totally. And there's some Gen Zers that totally get it. I'm looking at you. You know who you are. We talk regularly online.
Totally. And there's some Gen Xers that are, quite frankly, complete and total fuckholes.
Shit shows.
So
yeah.
I mean, we could start going down the list, but on the whole, we're different. We're a different breed, and you probably kind of shouldn't fuck with us because we've been there and done that.
It's true. What are you drinking?
Oh, God damn it. Why am I so slow on the uptake here? So you know what I'm drinking. This week is volume 3.
Okay.
Of the Breakside Life series, which is a series of barley wines. So I'm going to keep talking with mindless dribble while I pour this beer in the glass.
All right.
But it is number 3. I went back to the store where I bought these 3 to look for, because we discovered last week there's 6 of them in the series. And this is embarrassing to say, but I they didn't have the other 3. So I went to their beer guy, the guy that's always there. I like the guy. He's not as good as my old guy who moved.
Right.
But I like him.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, do you know if all 6 are out, or is it, they're just releasing 3 at a time, or do you know when you might get the other 3? I swear to God, this man looked at me like I had, 6 heads.
Oh no.
He was fucking clueless. He had no idea what I was talking about. I'm holding the bottle. I'm holding volume 3. And I said, do you know when 4 or 5? No. He's like, oh, I didn't even know they made that series. I'm like, all right, dude. You were lucky I don't bust you upside the head with this fucking bottle right now.
You're gonna have to go to Breakside. You're gonna have to talk to Breakside and ask them.
I am, and that will be the goal. I think I will craft a finely worded email and shoot them something. In fact, we got to hit. That's a story that's, well, I guess it's kind of on the dock, but I do want to talk about the email that you sent off this week on our behalf. It was very well written, very professional, and I can't wait. They haven't answered back yet, have they?
No, they haven't. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
And it's ultra right beer. We'll get into how that popped up.
Yeah.
This week. But they have not written me back. I'm sure they're super busy. But yeah, I have some words for that too. So we'll have some fun with that later.
Good. All right. So a very smooth pour. I will say this one, of the 3 in the series, this one has the least amount of head. I tried to pour them all. I have a pretty consistent pour. I mean, you don't want no head, but you also don't want to like overhead the thing. So I try and have a pretty consistent pour with all my beers. And this one, there's 0 head on it. I mean, there's a few bubbles. So this is a different beer than the last 2 for sure.
So my question would be, is it a flat beer? So we can work through that piece.
It's not flat. Wow, this one's very different. I can't say it's unpleasant. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of a brown, like a good solid, nut brown. I said nut. But this does not taste like a barley wine at all.
No kidding.
And you know what? I was pretty careful. Sometimes you can eat something and it'll throw the taste off of whatever it is that you're drinking or eating next. I
Right.
was pretty careful with as far as, cleansing my palate and having a pretty neutral, mouthscape for this to go into. So I don't, it's not, this one, it's not flat as far as carbonation, but it's flat as far as taste. There's not much going on here.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
So is
this could
it
be,
does it taste like it's set up to be like that, or is it just maybe it's been sitting for too long?
no, it tastes fresh. I mean, honestly, dude, if you told me this was a Newcastle, I would believe you.
Wow.
It's just unremarkable. It's very, very smooth, very easy to drink. No heat at all, and just kind of a nutty brown beer. I'm I'm like I said, it's not unpleasant, but I was expecting more.
Where,
It is,
where's the barley wine?
yeah, right, exactly. Where's the barley wine? So we will see how this I think it was last week you were kind of talking about, once you open a beer, I mean it has a lifespan.
Right.
And not just because you're drinking it, but just, as it warms up, as it intermixes with the air, it changes. And so we'll see how this opens up as it warms up. And it's just, man, there's no head to this. It's very weird.
Interesting. And no carbonation.
No, not really. I mean, it's not. I taste it when I drink some. I mean, there's bubblies,
Yeah. So it doesn't
but
taste
not.
old.
No, no, no. It does not
It's
taste
just
old.
it's just a it's
It's
like you picked this individual up at the end of the night and they just lay there.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. By far the most at the time, but at the time, the most beautiful woman that I've ever uh lain with. She literally just laid there. If you told me she was dead, I would have believed you. Except, I mean, her eyes were open, and then I kind of was like, what is going on? What? And so I did my thing. We copulated. I mean, it felt so clinical. And then, then I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, it was great." I'm like, "What? It was? It wasn't for me. You just laid there like a fucking dead fish." Anyway, enough about my horrible sex life. What are you drinking tonight?
And that was Life Volume 3 from Breckenridge. No, what was it?
Yeah,
No, not
Breakside.
Breckenridge.
At Breakside.
Breakside, sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Well, getting on to mine, I have a red IPA.
Okay.
Don't see very many of these. So what I'm expecting is it's going to be an IPA, so it's going to be hoppy, but I'm also expecting the caramel, the malt, more leaning towards what would be like a Scotch ale.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
after pouring it, that's what it looks like.
Cool.
Smelling it, it is a West Coast IPA.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know what I'm going to get.
I'm pretty sure the Reds are a West Coast invention.
Wow. All right, so the description. This is from the Heavenly Bodies series from Wren House. This particular one is called Mars. It's 7.5%. So the synopsis is: this red IPA was brewed with a tasteful blend of caramel and roasted malts, bringing a bready, honey sweetness, pouring a beautiful shaded red hue, balancing the sweetness with frequent Centennial and Amarillo additions throughout the boil for a classic American IPA bitterness. Dry hopped, using the same hop combination. We're getting a little crisp black currant and a grapefruit aroma foreshadowing the bitterness in the beer. Flavors of fresh lemon, the classic resinous pine, and a hint of refreshing honeydew melon. I do get a sweetness. That's just a hoppy, bitter IPA.
Yeah. See, when they go off and they make it sound like it's a really complex, wonderful, you're going to get this cacophony of scents and flavors, and it's going to expose your taste buds to all bullshit, dude. It's a fucking IPA. It's an IPA. Get the fuck out of here with all that.
Well, in the red is the gimmick, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I was hoping for something that was going to be more leaning towards a Scotch ale with some bitterness and a little bit of the piney IPA. I think that would have been fun. That's what I was hoping for. It is very much an American IPA. It looks like a red Scotch ale. I just got an IPA, which is fine. Whatever. I've actually been drinking more of those lately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit, you guys are near triple digits, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's
we
basically
cracked,
summer there.
Yeah, we cracked 100 a couple days this week. It's supposed to chill a little bit this coming week, but yeah,
I mean,
we're already in the hundreds.
not to brag, but we cracked 100. Dude, our high, well, today we got up to 60. And then tomorrow we have another storm front moving through. So our high is going to be 52.
Ooh.
And basically another couple inches of rain coming down. And it's April fucking 15th. This is very odd. And you know what's even crazier? The rain isn't so odd because sometimes it will rain this late in the season. But because it's a colder storm, it's still more snowpack up on the mountains. The Hoodoo and Bachelor, not Bachelor, Sisters and the other ski resort, they haven't closed yet. And it's the middle of April.
That's awesome.
And they're gonna get inches more tomorrow. So it's kind of cool for, the snow bunnies and people who are freaks to get out on the slopes. But honestly, dude, I could use a good sunny spring day here. I'm pale as it is. And then you add 7 months of no sun on top of that. I'm damn near translucent, dude. I could be a deep sea fish.
Just lay in there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like my worst sex ever. She literally just laid there. And it was like, yeah. You had the slapping sounds or the squishing
the heavy macaroni.
Yeah, the skin on skin noises and her breathing. And then I because she was quiet, I was like, I don't want to make noise. Like that would be weird, right? So I kept quiet, and it was just so that relationship did not last. That was anyway.
Let's go to break.
I think we should take. Yeah, I think we should take a break because so this isn't so awkward for me anymore.
We'll be right back. All right, Fitz, we had a nice week, especially when it came to housekeeping. So first of all, thank you everybody who chimes in on the polls that we do. We put one out, and the whole reason for putting this one out was because we see all of these mass shootings, quote unquote mass shootings. And then it makes you wonder just how impactful these should be. Not to by any chance to downplay that, people are dying, people are being injured, people are being terrorized. That we're not downplaying any of that.
Right.
But it calls into question what is this abnormal compared to what it has been in the past.
Right. Are we looking at a severe uptick here or are we just hearing about it because we have mass social media now?
Exactly. So This week we had 4 mass shootings that could have been mass shootings. 2 were hoaxes. And then we had a couple of really brutal ones.
And will you define, what do you mean by hoaxes? Because I know, because you and I have been reading all the same stuff all week, but what do you mean by a hoax?
So, for instance, Oklahoma. Actually, I think it was on the campus of OU, Ohio University. There were some students shooting off what amounted to New Year's poppers. Somebody called the police, thought it was a mass shooting, and the SWAT teams and OU police, everybody stormed the campus and went into a mass lockdown, and there was nothing going on. A hoax is going to be anywhere where, oh, we've got shots fired, and then when you get there, there's actually nothing going on. That's, I guess, good from the standpoint of that nobody was injured.
Right.
But it also builds on the paranoia and builds on the want for people to take away guns, and builds on the hysteria that comes from this and the mental illness that comes along with any of this. Even if it's a hoax that you're propagating, that's still sick. So we did
real quick, before you move on to, I just want to quickly say that the FBI has not actually put a number. Like in other words, what is a guy just popping off and killing his family? What's the difference between that and when does it cross the line and it's now a mass shooting? So the FBI has not set a minimum number of casualties to qualify as an event as a mass shooting, but U.S. statute, so the actual law that's on the books, defines a mass killing as 3 or more killings in a single incident.
Yep.
So a father killing his wife and 2 children, or the mother for that matter, it doesn't matter. That would be considered a mass killing, a mass shooting.
Right.
So just so we have a baseline when we're talking mass, 3 or over. So anyway.
Because there's a difference between somebody walking into a bank like this week, and I think that was in Louisville. Was that Louisville?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Walking into a bank and shooting up the place, right?
We do have a Hefe sighting, just so you know.
Oh, good. Hefe, I'm glad you're joining in right now. We're actually talking about the mass shootings and the feedback that we got from our folks as far as the violence poll that we posted earlier in the week. So just to get into that question, because my whole point in putting it out there was, are we seeing more? Do you feel like you're seeing more, or are we just have more awareness? So the question was, are there more violent acts today, or is the news capturing it and making it more accessible to people? The news being social media, mainstream media, whoever's out there actually capturing it. We had 263 votes. Another great poll.
Yeah, that's great.
Great participation. So thank you for that. I was heartened by what the findings were. The comments were kind of concerning, but the actual outcome on the poll was 62.7% for same. We just see it all. And 37.3% was saying that it was more violent. Now, I actually lean towards the we're just seeing it all camp. And it's a really great narrative to get guns taken away. So I think that's really where it's coming from, and that's why it's being pushed. But it was interesting to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree. Hefe, what's your take on it? Did you vote on this poll? Did you vote on our poll here?
No, I didn't. I guess there's statistics on it, so we can know the answer. But I guess it would be that there's more coverage and more knowledge about these things. But it certainly seems like there's more, and it could just be but it's fucking happening all the time now.
So I want to address what you just said, Hefe, because I want to believe what you said. However, because we've all been living in this country the last 3.5, 4 years, when you say, well, we could look it up and see if they've increased or not, I can pull you up. I'm literally right now, I'm pulling up 2 websites that say that mass shootings have increased. And then I have a third one here that says they've actually been decreasing. So they're really, we can't know. I don't know. I actually think there are more of them. but I also think we're hearing about every single little thing that happens. And they, these things, it's weird because what the media wants you to remember, they blow it up and they make it this huge event. They eventify it. And then things they want you to forget, they memory hole it. They move on. They never talk about it again. And I mean, Epstein is a great example of that. They're memory holding it because they, for whatever reason, the powers that be don't want us to know who's on that list. So yeah, Hefe, I wish we could just look it up. But I'm literally looking at 3 different sites here. One says that it's been increasing. Another one says it's increased slightly. And then, like I said, that third one says it's actually been going down since 1985.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know.
Well, it's like the train derailments. I never remember this much happening. They're like happening weekly, if not more frequently. And they say, "Oh no, there's 1,000 a year." Okay, that's like you guys covered before. That's one falls off the track and they fucking go and get it back on the track. That counts. That counts the train derailment. But this is like toxic chemicals and shit that's destroying the environment. This seems way more extreme than any other year, any other time. So
no, that's a great point, actually.
School shooting thing could be, was it school shootings or just mass shootings?
Mass shootings.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how they classify them, but it could just be. I don't fucking know. I think about it all the time, though. I mean, it's gonna hit close to home sooner or later.
I mean, and that's another. We had the big hit to schools, the public school system with COVID. A lot of students, everybody got locked down, and then a lot of students just never came back.
Yeah.
And now I know of a parent who has taken both of her children out of public school because she's so terrified of the school shootings. And personally, that would not be my decision, but I also respect her for making that decision because it's a scary time right now. And honestly, you just don't know. I mean, so back to the original poll, are we just hearing about it so much more so that people are more scared and they want us all, huddled in our dark little corners? And then McShane, you bring up a good point too. There's a big push to take away people's guns, which, again, my argument to that is, well, then why don't we just make murder against the law? And that should fix everything.
Well, I think, right?
Right. I mean, that should fix it all. I don't know why we don't do that. So, I mean, it's just an asinine suggestion. However, what else are we going to do? What are we going to do here? Because it's a major problem and it's happening frequently enough, whether it's more or less, but it's happening frequently enough that we as citizens of this country, we need to be concerned.
So some of the comments that we got from this poll, I think the internet, this is from Stephanie's. You guys can go ahead and check out show notes because all these comments are going to be in there. I think the internet, more independent news sources, small sites like Twitter are making us more aware of everything that happens. Really appreciate Stephanie for the feedback.
Yep.
I had to say it. More people with existing mental issues are being pushed by the bullshit narrative put forth by modern media to feel more despondent and disconnected than ever. Couple that with explicitly stated ideas that their very existence is at stake. It should be no surprise that they lash out. I can't argue with that either. I still don't think that it's more than, but I think the triggers are way more accessible than what they were previously.
And the expectations, I think what Aaron was sort of getting at there is that, again, not to draw these delineated lines between, the baby boomers and Gen X and all the generations, but the expectation used to be that if you fall down, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you maybe go get a Band-Aid for your bloody knee.
Right.
But there was nobody came to fucking help you. Nobody cared. I mean, that's just life. I mean, in fact, I remember specifically, Hefe, do you remember walking around high school just waiting for someone to slip and fall down one of those ramps.
Yeah.
And we all laughed. I mean,
Yep.
It didn't matter if it was the hottest girl in school or the brand new freshman kid. That was just fucking funny. And I'm not saying we relished in people's pain. I'm saying life happens and it's funny to watch people try and catch themselves. And then after all their shit's all over the ground, then maybe you go help them. But that was the expectation. You just got up, you dusted yourself off, and you carried on with your life. You didn't get to go home. Nobody rallied around you and put a foil blanket around you to make sure your body temperature was fine. You just lived. And now what Aaron's kind of touching on here is that some people feel like their only way out is to make others feel the pain that they feel inside. And then of course, suicide by cop. So I do think that has changed. That is definitely different. Social media, all the pressures we all know about, that's definitely changed. And that's on all of us. It's on every single one of us. And we got to fix it.
Jason Burke, new listener, I would say it probably depends on the violence. I think if we look at the first half of the 20th century, which had 2 world wars, one ending with a nuclear detonation, it was way more violent back then. There are still wars, but we seem more aware of our destructive capacity. I think my failure there was not saying it was a domestic violence issue.
Sure.
But I mean, obviously, you've got 2 world wars that you could totally throw in there, and yeah, those were incredibly violent. I think more we're looking at socially here, neighborhood to neighborhood, though. Let's see, Liquid Lozenge. I personally believe we live in the least violent time we ever have in human history, and because violence is becoming so rare, any individual act of violence becomes shocking. Interesting take.
Well, I mean, to that point, there's 8 billion of us on this planet. I mean, so the chances of having somebody having a mental disorder, the chances of them being able to find a weapon, all of that increases with the numbers of individuals around here. And yeah.
From Nick Nat, just more access to it being on record. From Acoin Analytics, our buddies over at This Week Explained. Great question. I mean, we had politicians participating in duels. A representative has been beaten so severely he has to take 3 years off, beaten by the other House representatives. We remained elected officials, but things are pretty bad these days too. So acknowledgement that each generation or set of years, each one has its difficulty there.
Could you imagine if we were still allowed duels?
Oh,
I completely forgot about that. Oh my God, dude, it would be on C-SPAN. Like C-SPAN would be so much more entertaining.
People would take Marjorie Taylor Greene a lot more seriously, unfortunately, when she has a body count and she's got notches on her belt.
And she carries around a 6-shooter into Congress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine Chuck Schumer versus, I don't know, fuck who? Who was the fish looking? Mitch McConnell.
Oh,
shit.
They square off. Do you know how long that duel would take?
Fucking forever.
The draw would be like 5 minutes long. And then the first 3 shots would miss. Oh, God, that would be funny. Holy shit.
What if, hear me out, your election, you got down to the point where you actually had your 2 contestants. We'll call them contestants for this matter.
Okay.
Make
it a game show.
It has to be at this point. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Because CNN, it's going to be pay-per-view. You've got 2 Senate guys.
Yes.
You go through the voting, right? And the vote happens, and you get your Republican, your Democrat, or for that matter, a libertarian, we'll say. All right. I mean, if they let that ever happen. But then it doesn't come down to an actual vote at the end because we can't trust the votes, right?
No, we can't.
So let's let the 2 motherfuckers duel. And the last one standing gets the office for the next 4 years.
Yep. You take the top 2. Or what about this? Whoever wins the popular vote, quote unquote, wins the popular vote, they get 3 rounds in their gun, and the other guy only gets 2. and so, like, if it makes it that far, the loser of the popular vote is kind of fucked because he doesn't have any more rounds. And the other guy can just walk up and execute him.
So I'm just gonna say shout out to our FBI handler. Please go ahead and take a note and send that up the chain, and maybe that's something you guys want to do. Sorry, Hefe, go ahead.
But what happens if, like one guy dies and the other still gets hit and is wounded, and
he gets winged? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'd have a much more tough Congress. And when you walked into that building and people give you the nod, they all know that you survived some shit.
True.
It's not that you just bought and paid for your election, which is what happens now. No, you made it through the crucible. And I'll tell you what, it would weed out. I mean, Nancy Pelosi would have never made it in the first place. I mean, although maybe if she just flashed her tits, like it would have distracted the other guy, and then so maybe she would have made it. I don't know.
So she goes in there topless and packing.
Oh, I would. I'd use everything, every advantage I had.
kind of like this. It's like do a Thunderdome.
Yes.
We've got a story called Orgy Dome. We might get into later, but maybe
right.
Thunderdome needs to happen.
Yep. Yeah, and I kind of like the idea of like skilled combat. Like it's not you just lucked out and you pulled the trigger first. I would like actual, like swords or like a knife fight. Dude.
All right. Gladiatorial combat.
Yeah. Our Congress would look a lot different. You'd have dudes missing pieces of their ears, missing fingers. I mean, that'd be some shit.
More respect, though.
Yeah. Oh, way more respect. I would be like, yes, sir. However you'd like to vote. I back you because I know you're ready to throw down.
I gotta head back in.
All right, dude.
All right,
we'll see you in a bit.
All right.
Well, we appreciate everybody reaching out to us on that poll and giving us some feedback. It helps us tremendously to get the opposing viewpoints, and it helps us tremendously just to kind of get a pulse of what's going on. So we thank you so much for everybody who chimed in there.
Absolutely. You know what this has done for me? You know what's funny is we put out our polls. Well, I shouldn't say we. I should say you put out our polls. But now if I'm kind of scrolling through Twitter and I see somebody with a poll up, I am much more likely to participate in it now. Because I'm like, this is helping them out. It's giving them content for whatever, maybe a podcast, or it just helps more views for their Twitter feed, whatever. I'm much more apt to just stop and read what the poll is. Now, if it's a bullshit poll, like, do you like potato chips or French fries with your hamburger? Who the fuck cares? I'm not participating in that.
Right.
But if you want to know, like, my opinion of who would win in a fight between Pluto and Snoopy, I'm absolutely I'm gonna chime in. And by the way, I went Snoopy all the way because he's a fucking pilot.
So let's go and get into some of the other stuff that was interesting. It was a very woke week.
It was
very woke week. Now, we have not gotten into the whole trans shenanigans that's been going on lately. We didn't even address the shooter in Nashville. That was a terrorist act. It had nothing to do with them being trans. So this week, though, and this was after Bud Light decided to go and put Dylan Mulvaney
Yep.
on their beer cans, and I think that was last week, the week before that. It's turned into an absolute shit show. So much so that we're seeing protests where people are destroying beers. We're seeing an absolute recoil.
Yeah.
That is just, it doesn't do anybody any good. It definitely doesn't do anybody from the LGBTQ plus community any good.
Nope.
And it's just because it was Bud Light, which is a very, very, very shitty beer. Sorry, I had to get that out of there. It's a much loved beer by apparently many conservative folks. It's just absolutely shit all over the trans cause. And
Yeah,
it's just been absolutely brutal.
dude. If I were to ask you, actually, if I were to ask probably 98% of the people out there, if I were to walk up to somebody on the street and say, "Hi, what is the demographic? Who do you think drinks Bud Light?" Everybody knows who drinks Bud Light. It's the fucking, the sand dunes, dirt bike riding, quad riding, um, dudes who just want to like have their toys.
It's the bros.
Um, yeah, gun shooting, very right, ultra right, in some instances. Usually less well off financially because Bud Light is cheap. So you start checking off all these boxes as far as who drinks Bud Light, and none of them match up with Dylan Mulvaney and what that person, what Dylan is trying to do. Um, and I have nothing against that person. I will say, well, we're still on the Bud Light thing, but I will say that I have a bone to pick with Nike because Dylan Mulvaney was also made their new sports bra model.
I could
And
not deal with that. I couldn't even put that in the doc because it was so ridiculous.
Do you know how offensive that is? If I was a woman, do you know how offended I would be?
Oh, there's nothing about this that isn't an attack on women.
It is an attack on women. You're exactly right. So anyway, this stuff is just going too far. And so to your point, to get back to the story, the backlash is going to be righteous. It is going to be wicked. And Bud Light may not survive this.
Well, so the Bud Light did back off and actually posted this, Our Responsibility to America. This is from Anheuser-Busch. It was just such a half-assed attempt.
God. It was terrible. And I think all of our listeners, you owe it to yourselves to go out and read this piece of shit. Because
let me go ahead and read it to them right now because they should hear this. Our Responsibility to America. As the CEO of a company founded in America's heartland more than 165 years ago, I am responsible for ensuring every consumer feels proud of the beer we brew. We are honored to be part of the fabric of this country. Anheuser-Busch employs more than 18,000 people, and our independent distributors employ an additional 47,000 valued colleagues. We have thousands of partners, millions of fans, and a proud history of supporting our communities, military, first responders, sports fans, and hard-working Americans everywhere.
There it is. That's who drinks your shit.
That's right. We
Yep.
never intended to be part of a discussion that divides people. We are in the business of bringing people together over beer. My time serving this country taught me the importance of accountability and the values upon which America was founded: freedom, hard work, and respect for one another. As CEO of Anheuser-Busch, I am focused on building and protecting our remarkable history and heritage. I care deeply about this country, this company, our brands, and our partners. I spend much of my time traveling across America, listening to and learning from our customers, distributors, and others. Moving forward, I will continue to work tirelessly to bring great beers to consumers across our nation. Brian Whitworth, CEO, Anheuser-Busch.
And you know what this is? You know what this is a product of? Is the CEI. And for those of you who haven't heard of the CEI, it's called the Corporate Equality Index. And on the surface of it, I think we can all agree and get on board with what its aims are, which is to increase equality in not only the workplace, but in marketing, in making your products available to everybody. That's what it looks like on the surface. But what happens is they have a CEI score, and they have heavily weighted the score towards things that have to do with global warming, climate change, LGBTQ issues, and then even to a lesser degree, which again, offensive, racial causes. And so if you can um, virtue signal as a business, if you can virtue signal that you are pro uh, environment and you are pro LGBTQ, you all of a sudden your score goes up and you get lower rates on loans, you get more airtime and cheaper rates on during newscasts. All of these, you get all these benefits if you can just virtue signal enough, whether you believe it or not. You just have to say these things and do these things and say that you're representing these populations, and off you go. And it's insidious. So I mean, if you would have told me 5 years ago that Bud Light would be running an ad campaign centered around someone who was transgendered, and not even as in, hey, it all needs to be equal, but just like over the top, hey, I'm from a totally different culture and timeline than you, but drink Bud Light. I would have laughed your face off. But here we are, and it's all about this CEI, the Corporate Equality Index, and it's gonna ruin some companies because they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna hitch their horse to the wrong cart, and I'm sorry for that.
But again, it's so the frustrating thing is that in a perfect world, everybody is being brought up, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't
doesn't matter whether you're gay, trans, black,
it shouldn't matter.
White, green, yellow. None of that. Women, men. It doesn't matter. We're all treating everybody as citizens, as people, right?
Right.
But
if you bleed red, then I'm in.
Then you're good to go.
Yep, we're good.
But that isn't what we get. Instead, we get this competitive enterprise institute that puts out this scoring system that rates companies and basically guilts them into bad decisions.
Yep. Yeah,
all because it looks shitty when they're ranked 90th out of 90 companies in that particular category.
Yep.
It's fucking ridiculous. And this is what drives companies like Anheuser-Busch to make stupid decisions, or Disney to make stupid fucking decisions. Can we also discuss that the CEO for Bud Light is a former CIA spook?
That was the best find of the week, in my opinion. We have some gems, but that was an amazing find.
It was fucking... That was the real deal.
Yep.
Brendan Whitworth.
So then you ask yourself, are we just all a product of some sort of mass hypnosis, some sort of, experiment to see how much mind control they can actually exert on us before we break?
It's a giant psyop.
Right. That's starting to feel that way. It's like that meme that I sent you guys, like, it was like psyops at the top. And it said, because physical wounds heal. Like psyops, they can ruin a person, and they do ruin people. I mean, we can go all the way back to MK Ultra and all that people poo-pooed for years. It's a real thing. It's been proven that it's real. They fucked up a lot of American citizens just to see if they could. And so they know how to do it with individuals. They know how to do it en masse with a lot of people. And I feel like that's what's happening. We are the subjects of this mass mind control or something. It feels insane to say that. And yet when you look at the evidence and you look at the trends, what's going on, it's kind of hard to deny.
Well, you cannot deny the good work that the Biden administration's doing.
Can't I?
Oh, no, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. So let's go and get into this one too, because we're going to stay woke for a little bit.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't rely on any kind of money coming in from any woke businesses, so we're going to go and hit this. The Biden administration is spending hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars, Fitz, to translate the homosaurus, a self-described vocabulary of LGBTQ terms, into Spanish. This is going to be really great, and I can't wait to see this in the libraries. It's going to translate stuff like anal fisting and jizz I did not. I don't know how to say anal fisting or jizz in Spanish, so I don't see why this is not valuable.
I almost attempted it, but I'm not going to be. That would just be awful and racist, and I'm not going to do that. And again, well, no, I'm not gonna. I'm not. No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that either.
You gotta
No,
stay away
I'm not.
from it.
I am. I'm gonna. You know what? Let's just go with the storyline here, which is that our tax dollars are going to converting and translating this dictionary, homosaurus, which is not. That's not our word we're making up for. That's their name for it.
Well, it's like a thesaurus, only
Right.
it's a homosaurus.
For homosexuals. And I'm sorry, if you grow up in this country, if you spend more than 5 years in this country and you don't know what anal fisting or jizz is, then you haven't really participated in society. You haven't gone on TikTok, you haven't
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, you haven't checked out Pornhub, which would be a real quick education. Just look up those terms in Pornhub. I cannot believe I just can't believe we're here. I really can't.
We are here. Free Beacon. That's where we've got the actual article from. But we've also got the whole document, all the government grants that are going to be given out, and that's $350,000 are going to be going just to this one individual for actually translating the Homosaurus into Spanish. And I'm going to we talked about this earlier in the week. We need to go out there, create our 501c3. Put it off of truth in media, transparency in media, whatever. And we just need to start getting some government grants. We can go and slap a government grant from blah blah blah. We'll throw it in on our website. That's fine. I don't have no problem with that. But if they're going to hand out a little bit over $250,000 for this effort, I'm sure we can get a couple $100,000 just for putting it together a mainstream media watchdog.
Dude. All right, here's the thing. We need real time. We need a grant because we need real time translation of our podcast into Spanish, obviously.
Yes.
Into
France.
We need
French.
French. Okay. We also need someone to interpret in sign language.
Yes.
We need someone for ASL, and
Australian.
And Australian for sure. Because when they say no, it doesn't sound like our no. And so they might not know what we're talking about. So, because they add they say no. It's like there's like an extra syllable in there. And that needs to be translated. So I think we need what? I'm going to write the grant for $500,000. I think would probably cover our expenses on that.
I think that works.
Okay.
That works. They'll cover travel expenses. They'll cover equipment.
Beer. It'll cover beer.
Yeah.
Because
here's the thing. At that point, we're writing off the beer too. So.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Our translators need to be as drunk or more drunk than we are.
Oh my gosh! What happens if somebody who's drunk starts trying to translate to sign language? Have we ever seen that? Do they slur?
I have never seen it. I will ask my friends. I have several friends in the deaf community. I will ask them if that gets sloppy because I bet it does.
It has to.
The finger coordination alone would have to suffer.
I would think so. I would think so. There's some dexterity loss has to be there.
Wow, I think we're getting into some really deep shit tonight.
I think we're going to do a lot of good. That's all I know.
Wow. You know what? I had a moment this week. I was sitting with myself as I regularly do because, I like me. And I was thinking, when we are in this moment in the show, like talking in the show, it's all going. And I want everybody out there to know we do very few edits. I mean, sometimes one of us will sort of go off the rails and say something that just doesn't ever need to leave our ears.
Right.
But 99% of the time, the three of us are pretty much on point, and we just kind of we're in the moment. We're just saying what comes to our heads. And this time when I'm thinking about what you're saying, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm listening to the news stories, and then Hefe will chime in. Like even tonight when he sort of brought in the train derailments, and that's just a different angle to kind of look at it. Like, yeah, fuck, what is happening? I love, this is like my favorite time of the week. Not, I love the conversation, but because I am forced to think when we are here.
Yep.
And I know that's our point of the show. We've talked about it before. I'm not going to go off on that tangent. What I'm saying is I love this because it makes me think about things. And sometimes what I think is funny, and sometimes what I think is like really profound. And like I have to like jump in feet first and like, okay, let's really think about this. Let's take it to its end. And so,
Right.
Just this is the world right now. If you are not, as a listener, as a free thinking American citizen, if you are not hearing this podcast and really stopping and thinking about what our world is headed towards, please do that. Take some time. I hope that's what this show does for you, because it's gonna. This country needs all of us to stop and think right now, because a lot of people aren't. Anyway,
No.
Sorry, that was my soapbox. I won't get on another one tonight, but I just so appreciate this conversation because I have to just really think about what I'm about to say, and it needs to be spot on, or it's not going out on the air.
No, you're absolutely right. And honestly, we don't discuss any of the articles that we come up with. We do post into our chat, so we're aware of them.
Yep.
We go and do our own research, get our own opinions on them, and then we go and we slap them into the doc, like into our working document on a Wednesday, and then again on Saturday morning. So we don't discuss any of this stuff. We're just aware of it. Then we form our own opinions throughout the week, and then we discuss it here. Why for you? This is the first time we've talked about a lot of this stuff. So. When we do actually get into these conversations, it is I'm not going to call us philosophers, but it is late night philosopher talk. I mean, this is why we do it. Is let's have a good beer, let's have a good conversation, let's get into things.
Dude, you know what I just pictured? I pictured like so it's 1773.
Yep.
Okay, and everybody's meeting down at the pubs. At their local pubs, and there's important people, important intellectuals there, people who have like written books that are still being studied today, and they're in there and they're having a few ales and they're talking about the future of this country. And I am not putting McShane, Hefe, or myself on the same level as the John Adams or George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. Yeah, I'm not saying we are that. What I'm saying is it brings me closer to that. It makes me feel more a part of that because we're actually having the conversations. Really good stuff. Anyway, I don't know why I had to go there, but it just felt right.
No,
so
let's move on. You go and you got to go.
Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of, how's that beer going?
Dude, okay. It's growing on me. I might make out with this beer.
Okay.
I'm not because I mean
is it the first girl at the party you make out with, or is it the one I haven't made out with anybody yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and make out with this one?
No, I mean it's the third girl. But and so there's a really pretty face, right? Really pretty face.
All right.
But she's shy. She's maybe she's never done this before, so she's
okay.
maybe she's intimidated by
sure.
An aggressive fucking asshole like myself, and so she's like, hey, I'm gonna draw some boundaries here. We can make out, but my clothes are staying on tonight, just so you know. And I respect that 100%. Thank you for drawing your lines early, but you do have some nice lips, and I'd like to kiss you. So that's kind of where I'm at with this beer. I'm not sure that we'll ever meet again. I mean, it's like a one makeout session and done. But I do appreciate. So what I appreciate here is, as it's warmed up, I'm getting some more of the flavors. It is a bit more complex than I got in the beginning. And sometimes, if you get your beer too cold, that can happen. You just miss a lot of flavors.
Sure.
So I'm getting some flavors from there now. The flavors I'm getting aren't, like things I crave. There's some nutty. There's some bitter and maybe a little bit of the fruitiness, but it's just not great. I much preferred the other two. The first two girls that I made out with tonight. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm sure someone out there is like, "Oh, dude, Volume 3 is the shit," but that's not me.
All right,
So
that's
yeah.
okay. That's why
Yeah.
we do the show. That's why we talk about this stuff. So
Yep.
that's all well and good.
Yep.
So I Mars is fine. This is the Wren House Red India Pale Ale. High ABV, which is probably going to be my biggest takeaway, and that's something that I don't usually care about. I'm more about the effect the beer has and the flavor and the experience, and this one's just an IPA. It's red. Okay, good job. That's about all I got.
Yeah, sometimes don't you wonder if, I mean, because you said earlier, like the red is kind of the gimmick.
Yeah, that's exactly what this was.
Yeah, but I don't wonder if they brew the beer and they're like, hey, this is just an average IPA, but we have some red dye number 3 over there. And we could
So let's throw that in there. And we'll call it Mars.
Exactly.
Because Mars is cool.
And Mars is red.
Yeah, Mars is red.
I don't know. You have to wonder sometimes, but I'm not disparaging the brewers. I'm sure they put their,
no. I mean, Wren House kicks ass. Don't get me wrong.
No, they're
Wren
exactly.
House is fantastic, but
Yep.
I'm not going to go out and try and find this beer again. I it's an IPA. I just don't care.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good IPAs out there right now, but this is not
one of them.
not one of them. All right, so getting into beer 2. So I'm shifting gears big time, and I did do this on purpose. This wasn't one of those nights where I go down and decide on the fly what I'm drinking. So I kind of planned this out. I wanted that red IPA first. My strategy was I was hoping it was going to be different. That failed. We already talked about that, which is fine. That happens. But this next beer, I'm very excited to say I've never had anything of this style before. And I haven't had anything from this brewery before either. This is from Pariah. And this is an Imperial Milk Stout.
Okay.
I don't know how they're going to pull this off. Yes.
Yeah. For our listeners out there, milk stouts are, so named because of the lactose they use to feed the bacteria that makes the alcohol. They're not easy to get the ABV too high. They're usually pretty mellow and pretty smooth. So the fact that it's an Imperial, I am very intrigued.
Yeah, it's definitely something that it's very different. I'm pretty sure about that. I actually went into my place, which I call it my place. It's not really my place, but it's my place.
Yeah.
It's called the Hair of the Dog. Nice little
right.
coffee bar. I think I've told you about it. I've talked about it on the show before. But Haley was there, and I went and grabbed this beer. I was talking to her, but I went and grabbed this beer. I'm like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna try this on the show. And she's like, oh, this is a fantastic end of the night beer. I'm like, really? Tell me more. And she's so wonderful. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
So I'm picturing Haley in my mind, and I don't want you to elaborate but she sounds sexy, and we're just gonna leave it at that.
Yes. She's a Fitz girl. She's one of Fitz's girls.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, so she swore by this one. So I can't wait to go ahead and have this one. So let's go ahead and take a drink.
Yeah, go for it.
Lots of cinnamon. It smells dirty, which is nice.
We lack of the dirty.
Oh. Okay. Whoa. Fitz, you're kind of a chai tea guy, right?
Oh, I love chai. Yeah.
I would. It's obviously not a chai, but this tastes like a boozy chai tea.
Okay.
I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, Yeti makes a chai imperial stout, and it's one of my favorite Yetis. I like all the Yetis, but that's one of my favorites. So I'm now even more intrigued, and I am also somehow more attracted to Haley now too.
Oh no, she's super cute and really super nice, smart. What just she's wonderful.
Yeah.
So this is what it has on the back of the Pariah can here. The name is All the Bootleg Snacks, which is a fantastic name.
Oh, that's yes.
Brewed with cinnamon, chocolate, coconut, condensed milk, and vanilla. So you get that lactose, that end of the night. It's definitely a dessert, very decadent kind of a beer.
Yeah.
What you are holding is liquid absurdity. This imperial milk stout is loaded with cinnamon, chocolate, coconut, condensed milk, and vanilla over an extremely decadent base beer. Utterly pitch black, totally unapologetic. We have beers that have the final gravity of this as their starting gravity. Thick, THICCCCCCCCCC, right? So viscous. Think of very viscous beer.
Yeah. Oil.
Best when shared with those you love, or be greedy and drink this thing yourself because 11.1%. And I don't do very many end of the night beers, and this is an end of the night beer. What are you drinking?
Well, I'm super jealous and intrigued by that beer. I kind of wish I was there. I miss the old days of of Drunkard's Call when we would have several beers, but we'd share them all. So we could, you'd have your take on it and then I'd have my take on it. And so I kind of wish we had that dynamic right now because I'm really, I wish I could taste that beer. And equally, I wish you could share this beer with me. So I don't know if you remember, some listeners of the show might remember, but back during the pandemic, everything was locked down, and we have some neighbors that are behind us. Basically, they share a backyard fence with us, and really cool people. When we first moved in here, we had a housewarming party, and they came and brought some really good beers. And I was like, "Oh, you're a beer guy?" And he's like, "I'm a beer guy." And then he saw what I had in my fridge. He's like, "You're a beer guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a beer guy." And so we instantly bonded. And his wife is also cool as shit. So during the pandemic, everybody was in lockdown, but we went out back one day and they had, hung over our fence. They had hung a 6-pack of beer for us. Just as like hey, I hope you guys are okay and everything's going cool here. Since you can't go out and have a beer on us. And so it just started this thing. So
that's cool.
Now we have this beer exchange. So every once in a while and they're really into wine. So we'll go out and buy a bottle of wine for them and hang it over the back fence for them, or some beer for him.
That's cool.
And it's a cool beer exchange program. So my wife gets a text from our neighbor and says, "Hey, when you go out back, check your fence post." And sitting on the fence post is a beer that I would never buy for myself. Not never, I won't say never. At the moment, I wouldn't buy it for myself because of how expensive these beers are. This beer is from Ale Song. They are kind of a high-end brewer here in Oregon. They do only high-end blending and super cask aged stuff. Ale Song's just like they're kind of like the top of the top around here. Like if you're going to get a fine crafted beer, people know that you're going to go to Ale Song for it.
Wow. Okay.
Their bottles of beer they start at like $21 a bottle. And then some of them, like this one, and I sent you some pictures. I sent some pictures in the chat.
Yep.
On the cork for this bottle, because this is one of those beers that you cork. You don't fucking put a cap on it. This was actually brewed and bottled in 2021. So I don't know how long they've had it, and I don't know what possessed them to share it with me, but I am so eternally thankful. And so thank you so much, wonderful neighbors, for sharing this beer with me. I cannot wait to wrap my lips around this, and I really wish you were here to partake in it with me. But this is they don't even name their beers. They just say, hey, this is an ale song. This one, ale aged in French oak barrels with blueberries, boysenberries, and cherries. And all of their ingredients around here, all of their ingredients that they put in their beers are all sourced locally. So these are all things that are grown here in Oregon that they probably got the day they were picked off the fucking vine or the tree, right, and made them part of their beer. So that's why their beers are so expensive and they're so good. But they're just kind of out of my price range typically. And now I get to enjoy one. And so kind of earlier when you said that you had your night like planned, like how you wanted to, this was completely unplanned, but they offered me this beer. And they know I do a podcast. So I said, oh, this one's going on the podcast. So here we are. And, right. And I'm gonna, it's so the pour, it smells like a sour. So we'll see what we get here.
Yeah, I'm really bummed that I don't know which one this is because they do have some names on their site, but they just don't have anything on that particular bottle that you posted.
Holy shit! Both my assholes just puckered. Oh God! Woo!
Dual assholes, nice.
Dual asshole pucker. Wow! Mission accomplished. Oh, this is so good. Oh. See now. So this is the girl that. We're gonna make sweet love tonight. This is a
So it's not fucking. It's just
no
long love making.
Oh, you don't fuck this beer. You look this beer in the eyes and you tell it that you want to live the rest of your life with this beer. Holy shit! This
Whoa, a marrying beer. Wow.
Oh God. Oh, Hefe. We have a Hefe sighting. Dude, perfect timing because
Fitz is marrying his beer.
I'm proposing. I'm on one knee right now, and I am proposing to this beer.
Go to the chapel, and Fitz is gonna get married. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was okay. So quickly, it is a sour. It's not overwhelmingly sour, although both of my assholes did pucker. Yeah,
that's a good beer.
Yeah, right. I'm serious if both of them are up in my throat. But no, I'm getting more cherry than the blueberries or boysenberries, but it's just a really fruity, really nice blend. And you know what's great about this one? The beer of it, the yeast, the barley, that's all there. It's still it's a sour, but you can almost chew it. There's an earthiness to it.
That was going to be my question. Are we talking about a sour here, a lambic, or are we talking about an ale that just has some really fantastic fruity notes?
Yeah, definitely the second one. This is a beer first with some really just nice undertones, maybe even overtones, but you still get a nice balance of everything. You get the grains that made the beer, but then the berries that really just fucking put it over the top. So, all right. Holy cow. I don't think it's going to be a surprise to anybody which beer I'm taking to bed tonight. This is a work of art. Holy God.
It's like
What's that?
It's your honeymoon. You're taking it to bed on your honeymoon.
I absolutely, I am going to carry it over the threshold and basically whatever she asked me to do, we're doing tonight.
I know someone that, and you know him too. Not, it was from football, but not our team. But he got married in Vegas and had a threesome on his honeymoon. That's a no-go, right?
Wait a minute.
Not for him. Yeah, who is this?
James played on Mojo.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Okay, I believe it. James had some swagger.
Yeah. Good guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I thought that would be an absolute full stop. Like, no. But to each their own, and she was down with it. So.
I was gonna say you find the right woman. Well, you find the right person.
Right.
And being in polyamorous relationships right now is kind of like an in thing. Like a lot of people are doing it. Like, hey, I love you, and we're gonna spend the rest of our lives together, but I also want to have sex with that person. And it's happening.
This is like 15 years ago, though, and it's not quite.
So he must be Generation X because he was doing it before it was cool.
You know what? You would be really popular in prison with your two assholes. That just struck me.
Well, so you'll have to listen to the first part of the show, because I didn't realize that there's actually an inner and an inner. There's two assholes, one on the outside and one on the very inside.
Yeah.
So it's like you got two gatekeepers.
Yeah, you do.
So I thought that was fantastic that we got into that.
You got an innie and you got an outie, and everybody does. And actually, people with incontinence, it's their innie that goes, not their outie. Their outie is trying to hold back the floods, but it can't because it needs the help of the innie, and the innie is the one if you've ever done Kegels. I don't know if you guys do Kegels. I do Kegels regularly because it's really good for prostate health and all that. So I do Kegels pretty regularly.
Do you do them while we're sitting here talking?
Sometimes, yeah, I do.
Good.
Yep.
I forget to do those. We should everybody go ahead and pause and do some Kegels right now.
All right, we're back.
All right, good.
But that's the one that you're flexing when you do your Kegels. Is
that really
it?
That's
the innie.
Fantastic. All right.
Yeah. So
see, this is why we're the greatest goddamn podcast on the planet.
By
far. Hey, Hefe, you know what? I feel, I personally feel, I don't want to speak for McShane. I feel bad. The first time you were on, the first break you had, we didn't even ask how your night was going. We just kind of threw you in the deep end. But how's your night going, dude?
Well, Gretchen brought this up through the week. She's like, I feel bad because every time they ask you how your night's going, you say shitty. Because it's like 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and it takes a while for the night to get going. But tonight is a little different.
Oh.
Tonight I was dealing 3-card, and it was just kind of ho-hum. And then the guy said, looks like it's your last hand. And he was betting like pretty big, close to table max. Actually, not quite, but he was betting like 75. And he put me up for $25 on the pair plus, and he hit a flush. That pays 3-1, so it's $100 right there.
Nice.
In my box.
Nice.
Now I have like a 30 now, and it's like after 9 o'clock, but still, I've got that one shining moment.
Yeah.
From 3-card poker.
Well, good for you.
So,
that's fantastic.
It's always good to hit something good in your second table of the night.
That's absolutely right. And you know what? Can you just? I want when you get a second, because I know you've got some trivia that's coming from Buttercup that you want to get into, but lean into Gretchen and just say, hey, the guys say hi, and we hope you're doing okay. That's
Okay.
what you got to do. All right. But lean in, like, be a little bit more, be kind of breathy. Right? Put it right on the back of her neck, just like what McShane would do. Don't quite make it awkward, but just, hey, McShane says hi.
No,
Yes.
And so after all the subtlety is done, and I don't want you to get fired or anything, but I want you to smack her on the ass as hard as you can and just be like,
Will
this is
do.
from Fitz.
Will do.
And then follow up with a good job.
Yeah.
You can't hold me accountable for this. This is from Fitz.
No, this is from Fitz.
Exactly.
Smack.
You want to fire somebody?
If you don't leave a handprint,
right.
you didn't do it hard enough.
Jesus.
Oh,
Golden
God.
rule.
What's your trivia? What do you
let's
got
get to
for
that.
us?
Yeah.
Buttercup gave me a little buttload here of so to
A
speak.
little
of trivia.
buttload. So
Yeah.
just one sphincter's worth?
Pretty much.
Okay. All right.
Some of these I don't buy, and I don't know where she got this from. I can't give you a source.
All right. Well, we're professionals. We're gonna tell whether it's true or not.
So 30% of women have done it, but only 10% do this regularly, what is it?
Anal?
Nope.
Wait, 30% have done it, but only 10% do it regularly?
Yeah.
Lesbian sex.
No, masturbation.
Nope. Multiple climaxes.
Huh.
Right,
That might be accurate.
Yeah, I buy that one totally.
Here you go.
I mean, I try A for effort every time, but I guarantee it doesn't happen.
How many nerve endings does the clitoris have?
7,342.
No, I mean it's like 4 times what a penis has, right?
I don't have that information, but McShane, you're close.
Wow.
8,000.
Oh shit, dude, McShane, you're right on the nose on that one. Bonus.
This
I'm a fantastic lover.
So so while you're down there, you're like counting the nerve endings?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Hold on, babe. 4,571?
But yeah.
4,572?
He's using his tongue to count those. He's like,
Exactly. You have no idea how tiring that shit is. You thought the alphabet game was tiring.
Holy shit. Oh, so your wife only has 7,000, huh?
Yeah, but she also has multiple orgasms.
There you go.
Okay. Challenge accepted.
Next question.
This one I call bullshit on. I can't believe this one.
Okay.
Give me I'm guessing this is lifetime. It has to be lifetime. What is the average number of partners for a woman, and what is the average number of partners for a man?
Whoa.
All right. I'm going to say I'll go first on this one.
All right.
Average number of partners for a woman is 17. Average number for a man is 12.
Huh.
Shane?
I'm going to go with average number for a woman is 7, and the average number for a man is pi.
Without the decimal.
With the decimal. Yeah, absolutely.
Round
go ahead.
down on that one.
I'm going to say 9. There's your average. Go ahead.
7 for women, 9 for men.
Yes.
Well, again, McShane is really close. You just got to flip them. 9 for women,
Really?
7 for.
Yeah, I knew women on average have more partners. I
find that fascinating. I never would have guessed that. I thought men would have more.
No, dude. If you had a vagina, would you not be having sex every night with somebody?
I would never leave the house. But anyway.
That still counts. That's one.
Here you go. Real quick. The multiple choice.
Okay.
What percentage of people have died from sex? Doesn't say while having sex, but I'm guessing that's what it means. A, 0.06%. B is 1%. C is 3%. D is 0.01%.
Oh my God, I have no idea.
I'll go with 1%.
That's a weird question. Because is that like
a very
all
weird
people?
Question?
Anyway, the answer is A, 0.06%.
How can you prove that?
I don't know. I got one more good one.
Okay.
All right. We're going to let you guys guess what the answers are here. How long is the average woman's orgasm? How long is the average man's orgasm?
Let's say for a woman, it's 2.5 seconds. For a man, it's 2 seconds.
No. So man is probably 4 seconds, and a woman is probably in the neighborhood of 25 seconds.
Wow. All right.
Okay, it's women's is 15 to 20 seconds.
Yeah, they're much longer. Yeah.
Get your bullshit mask on.
Okay.
Because men's is 20 to 25 seconds.
That's bullshit.
Nope. That I guess I'm not a man then.
I mean,
so let me ask you this, Hefe. I know you're gonna have to go soon, and this might be like way too loaded.
I'm gonna have to time how long my orgasms are now.
Yeah, well, I am now. guess what I'm doing as soon as we're done with the show?
Yeah.
So when I have an
For
orgasm,
science.
yeah, this is totally a scientific conversation. When I have an orgasm, there's the time leading up to, and then there's the actual, eruption, ejaculation.
Yeah.
And then very shortly after that, I can't be touched.
Down there? Or
anywhere. My entire body turns into a giant fucking nerve that is on its last nerve. Like I can't be touched anywhere. I don't want to be kissed. I don't want to be stroked. I don't want your fucking head on my chest. I just
Just get
I've
the fuck away from me.
Yeah, I've done my deed.
I'm radiating.
Let me go take a piss and fuck off.
Dude,
do you guys feel that way? Because the reason I'm asking is because I've seen some porn where the guy will, he'll finish and then she'll still keep sucking him off, or she'll stick it back in or whatever.
Yeah, no.
And for me, like I get actually violent. It hurts. Don't stick it back in there. I'm fucking done. Do you guys have that? What is that experience for you guys?
Not to that extent, but I'm in
I don't want to kill people, but
I mean, I guess I'm Irish, so I get violent with everything, but
I don't. I'm not gonna say I'm ready to go right away, but I'm that come, and then I could turn around and go back to work if I needed to. That's usually okay.
I mean, in my younger days, I have had many orgasms, over a, say, 6-hour period. I mean, you just,
sure.
when you're 20, you just,
you can just go to
go.
town.
But I'm just saying, like right after, I can't be touched. It's actually painful for me.
MW used to talk about the cum coma.
And I have that too, but more I just get violent.
Huh. It's good to know. Next time we go camping.
Yeah. So both of you guys just beware. Because once I'm done, get the fuck away. Start running.
I gotta
go. All right.
All right, man. Have a good night. Hope you make another $130.
All right, boys. See you later.
Later.
Fitz, did you know that the Dalai Lama offered a kid to suck his tongue?
Yeah. Yeah.
What the hell?
Okay, so there I found a couple of really actually very well written articles on this week. A lot of articles were basically condemning the act, condemning the whole thing, and saying that, well, now here we have another high-level person who's a pedophile, and you can't even find safety and sanctum in Buddhism anymore. And so there was a lot of hit pieces on that. And I'm gonna just say up front, I am not here to defend the Dalai Lama. I am not a practicing Buddhist, although if I were to subscribe to any philosophy, it would be Buddhism. I've read a lot of Buddhist text, and so I have a lot of respect for Buddhism. But the Dalai Lama is still just a person, and Buddhism is very clear on that we are just people and we all have our flaws, and so sometimes people fuck up. So I'm not here to defend anything. What I am here to do, though, is to give sort of an alternative viewpoint, I guess. So the first article I read was basically like, hey, Buddhism is all about facing up to the reality of a situation, particularly Zen Buddhism. The reality is what it is. Either you can or you cannot. And that's where the whole Yoda thing came from. Don't try, you just do or do not. So there's that. Like, it is what it is. The Dalai Lama said what he said, and you can't take anything away from that. So don't try and justify it. But also don't put any judgment on it, because he's just a person, as are you, and you have your own flaws. So go look in the mirror. That was a great article, but that's not the one I'm going to quote tonight. The one I'm going to quote tonight is that there is actually And this is from the again, it'll be included in the show notes, but this is from the elephantjournal.com, which is a pretty substantial blog, I guess, on Buddhism. And this person wrote this piece, and there is a saying in Tibet. It's che la sa, and what it means is eat my tongue. And so I'll read from the article here what that really what he's representing there. So a key point that we are all missing here in Western culture. In Tibetan culture, it is common to see the old grandparents not only give a pop kiss, which is like just one of those quick kisses, to small children, but also give a small candy or piece of food to children from their mouths, directly mouth to mouth. Now, this may not be the norm of your culture, but it is commonly done. And after the elder gives the pop kiss and a candy, since there is nothing left in their mouth, nothing left to give, they will say the phrase, "Okay, now eat my tongue." Not suck, as His Holiness misspoke during his less than proficient English, but the Tibetan phrase is "chela sa," and they say that it is, "I've given you all my love and the candy, so all that is left to do is to eat my tongue." So it's a pretty playful thing that children know that they're just playing. No one's going to actually eat anyone's tongue. This is not really done in the Lama region or the capital of Tibet as much, but it is more common in the Amdo region, where His Holiness was actually born. So it is definitely a Tibetan custom. So putting that into perspective, was it just a gaffe? Just one of those things that's just lost in translation? I don't know. But it's plausible. And I want to believe that the Dalai Lama is not a pedophile. I want to believe that. Now, is that the truth? Is that the case? I don't know. However, of the thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of documented cases of him being with kids, being with anybody, he's playful, he's funny, he's not sexual in any way.
He's a silly goose.
And he was just playing, and I'm leaning towards the fact that he made a major gaffe, and he's actually come out and said, "I should not have said what I said. I didn't mean it that way, but I also will accept whatever recourse comes from this." I mean, he's not shying away from it. He's not running away. He's not on Epstein's list and they're burying it. He's saying, "Look, I totally made a gaffe here, and I'm going to do my best to make it right."
I'm going to take a totally different angle on this.
All right.
What better hit piece if you're trying to make amends with China than to take a really big fucking swing at the Dalai Lama?
Well, there is that. There absolutely is that.
He's not a fan of the Chinese regime.
No.
He's in exile. I would not be surprised if the word went out, because we're about to get into all the kinds of hit pieces that came out this week, because there was a ton.
Yeah, there were.
I would not be surprised if this was a hit piece that was put out there. And yes, I'm probably putting on a tinfoil hat right now, but what a great way to make up to China for all the Taiwan bullshit lately, than to call out the Dalai Lama.
So I mean, 100% agree. 100% it's plausible. However, it is on film. I mean, I've seen the video, and
it is,
and it's cringeworthy. So either someone paid him to make this gaffe, or
no,
they just paid enough people to have cameras on him 24/7. I don't know.
I think it was more along the lines of, this is probably something he does often.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a gaffe. They're just waiting for him to fuck up, and now we can go ahead and blast it all over the fucking world.
No, I mean, I that's an interesting, very interesting way to look at this, and I actually I'm gonna give you a fucking coin flip on it. I mean,
No,
50-50.
yeah.
You might be right, dude. That might be exactly what this is, because as you said, there were so many hit pieces, and it seems like we used to have we would call out a hit piece maybe every third or fourth show. The last 4 weeks, dude, we've called out hit pieces every week.
Every fucking week.
Every week. And this week we have multiple.
Let's get into this one. This is the one that was on Tucker Carlson. This is from the New York Times.
Yeah.
Now, this one was fascinating to me because there was no actual fucking article to it. It was just Tucker's words.
It was just a headline. Yeah, yeah.
So this is just the story contains audio, and that's it. And all this is this.
They don't care what you think. They want to control your mind. They want you to do what you're told. They want you to kiss the ring. They're not sentimental. They want power. They want power. They hate you. They want to hurt you. They call you a racist. They call you racist. They want to control.
All this story was audio of shit that Tucker Carlson said, which, quite honestly, was pretty fucking accurate.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure why the Times decided that, oh, we need to get out there and say, he's just trying to rabble-rouse. He's just trying to go ahead and call attention to all these offhanded red politics, all these kind of things that we don't agree with. So we're only going to take that he's calling out control points and all this bullshit. It was really amazing, and that's the direction they took with this.
I mean, is it okay? I'll just say it how I'm thinking it. Are we really surprised, McShane? It's the New York Times.
No, we aren't. But what I'm surprised by is the amount of effort that went into this. I mean, that was the whole that there. So let's get into this so that. Let me go ahead and shut this audio down. But just watch the video. Inside the apocalyptic worldview of Tucker Carlson tonight. A New York Times analysis of 1,150 episodes reveals how Tucker Carlson pushes extremist ideas and conspiracy theories into millions of households 5 nights a week. He's done so since the beginning, but the show has gotten darker. Mr. Carlson, 52, has one of the largest megaphones in all of the cable television. When President Donald J. Trump left office, Mr. Carlson filled the void on the right. He's always been on the right. I don't get that one, but okay.
No, I mean, and so I don't. So here's what. So I'm going to take a kind of a different take on this.
Yeah.
So because he's popular.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to call him right wing conspiracy, dickhead. I don't like Tucker Carlson, but man, I can't believe how many clips of his show I have sent you and Hefe, and other friends over the last, because honestly, he's fucking right. Now, you can watch a Tucker Carlson Tonight show, and you can sort of separate the wheat from the chaff. I mean, you can tell when he's going off on his
rampage,
on his rants. Yep. Yeah, he gets that goofy fucking laugh, which I can't stand. I want to
when he's getting
him.
paid. Yeah, you can tell when he's getting paid. Yep.
But then he's like, well, let's just look at the facts, and then he presents fucking facts, like video facts, audio facts, fucking receipts, documents. He's not just out there just spouting bullshit like a oh god, what's that other fuckstick's name that got sued? Jesus, podcaster. You know who I mean. He got sued and he lost because he said that Sandy Hook was a
Oh, yeah.
You know who I mean.
Fucking war no. Jesus.
Why can't I think of his name?
Because we don't want to. We've got a mental block when it comes to him.
But so he's not that guy.
Right.
He's not just out spouting lies just to get more listeners. Tucker Carlson is, yes, he's definitely right leaning, but he presents his fucking receipts and he has facts. And he's also, by the way, the most watched cable news show by like a factor of 7. I mean, the next closest is also a Fox show. And then the closest CNN would have to times 12 their viewership to get even close to Tucker. It's not even so. This just seems to me like, well, he's a low-hanging fruit. Everybody knows who the fuck he is. Nobody likes his face. Nobody likes the way he talks. No one likes the way he laughs.
Yep.
So let's just take a swing. That's all this was.
Whenever you don't agree with somebody, obviously they're extremists, so we need to go ahead and propagate them as that. That's where we are right now.
Yep.
He was never an extremist 2 or 3 years ago.
Nope.
He wasn't. He was just Fox News.
Yeah.
Which nobody liked, which is fine, whatever. But now he's an extremist? Really? No. Because a lot of the stuff that he's coming up with, they're facts. I know you don't like them. Sorry. This is fun.
By the way, he's a Gen Xer, so he's not going to take any bullshit. If you fire at him, he's going to fire back.
Hey, did you know that climate change forces sex work?
Oh, God. Okay. I cannot wait to get on this. The number of hit pieces, and you know what's funny?
It was massive,
dude. I could have sent you 5 or 6 more that I found this week. But I was like, okay, it's overkill. The shit they're coming up with and they're blaming on climate change is remarkable. Just the skill involved to craft this story. Go ahead, tell the story because it's amazing.
And it all came out at one time.
Everything all at once. Yes,
you can tell when a narrative is shifting when you look at the stories that are coming out, and then you look at the volume. Okay, so you take the subject, which in this case it's climate change, and then you look at all the different stories that come out suddenly at one time. So you don't have to go very far to figure out. Okay, so this week we're pushing climate change.
Yeah,
we saw the Indian villagers forced into sex slavery as a result of climate change. We saw a story on baseball.
Yes.
And how
that was
there are more home runs due to climate change.
Due to climate change. I think the number was 5. They have attributed 500 home runs.
Yes.
In the last 10 years because of climate change.
Exactly. You know, Fitz, you know what was released this week? Our president and our EPA decided that we're going to have more stringent rules about EVs and in regular gas cars. They're going to crack down on it.
Yep.
And what better way to support things than climate change and sex slavery?
And a huge media, what would you call it? Like a blitzkrieg?
I'd call it an orgy. That's what I'd call it. Let's watch this. Here we go.
Juicing home run balls. It's all because of thinner air. When the air is thinner, the ball doesn't have anything it runs into as much, and it can go farther. When the air is hotter, it is thinner, so balls go farther. In fact, a Dartmouth team of scientists figured there are 50 extra home runs a year because of climate change. Now that may sound like a lot, but it's actually a pretty small amount. More home runs are being added because of seams on the ball, because of launch angle, because of better athletes, and it used to be because of steroids too. Climate change is a small percentage of that, but that percentage is likely to grow. Global warming.
Now, I could appreciate that, but let's go here. Live science. Baseball home runs could increase by 10% in the next 80 years. 80 years! How is this a fucking story?
And why
80 years. Who the fuck cares? Warmer temperatures due to climate change is resulting in more home runs in Major League Baseball. So they go in depth with why this is going to be something that's going to be a big deal over the next 80 years. Now, that was livescience.com. What we just played there for you was from the AP. The story that we had from the sex change workers was from the Independent. Now, I'm not saying that it was an all-out assault this week, but it seems like it was pretty coordinated and ridiculous because you're trying to hit a lot of different people in this, with just the different stories that we have there.
And I'm again, as we've said before, if you follow the money, who funds the Independent? Who funds the New York Times? Who funds these, quote unquote journalistic, megaliths that are supposed to be giving us the actual hard hitting news, actual journalism? I guarantee you get to the end of that money and it's going to be left leaning George Soros type, fucksticks that have an agenda that they're paying for. They're saying, hey, welcome to the New York Times. We are so excited to have you on the team. We can't wait for you to do more reporting on these 3 subjects. No, you can't go outside of those 3, but we're looking forward to your reporting on those 3 subjects. Thank you. Oh, shit. Oh, you found out that climate change actually isn't man-made? Okay, well, we're not going to approve that article. Let's go ahead and have you move down to the transgender issues and see if you can't hit the mark there. Oh, I'm sorry. You're fired because you're not doing us any good and you're gone. I mean, that's literally how the game is played. You either play ball and write what they want you to, or you don't have a fucking job. And I know that your student loan is now being forgiven, but you still have your bills to pay and things like that. So, I mean, of course you're going to have, yeah, of course you're going to play ball. You're going to write what they want you to write. I mean, that's going back to, Hefe's earlier statement that, hey, you can just go on the internet and look it up. Actually, no, you can't, because even these so-called scientific journals, they're being paid and funded by somebody. And if you don't follow the money, if you don't know who's paying them, then you really don't know how their results, quote unquote, are skewed.
Because I hate that.
I do too. It's maddening. I mean, the journal Nature used to be a place that you could go and you just knew you were getting the science. And then this is something we really didn't get into much last week, but they have found that most of their articles that they publish most of the studies that they publish are not replicatable. Other scientists go back and say, okay, that's great findings. Let's try and replicate.
Let's try that again.
Can't. Yeah, they can't. So
what happened?
So then you go, okay, they're just publishing this because it fits their narrative. So it's like, boom, put it in black and white, off we go. But as soon as someone goes and says, well, let's take out all these variables that you maybe, then it does, you can't repeat it. And so what is science anymore? I mean, when did science become, end all be all? Science is supposed to be,
Science is supposed to be a standalone. It's supposed to be a standalone conversation. It's supposed to be a set bunch of variables. It's supposed to be quantifiable. It's supposed to be controlled. It's science. But that's not where we are now. It doesn't. No. We're not there anymore. And I don't know how we get back to that.
I don't know either, because we were brought up on, the scientific method. You have a hypothesis, you test it, and then it's either proven true or not. And then other people go, oh, you proved it true? Well, I'm going to try it now and see if I can prove it true. Oh, nope. You didn't account for this variable, and this variable, so it's false. And that should be science. But as soon as COVID came out, it was like, no, the vaccines are the science. If you say anything against the vaccine, you are a devil, a demon, and you must be killed. And let's move on. And it's like, wait, what? That's not science. Don't.
So let me ask you this, because there's been a trend over years and years and years that less people are more are confident in religion. Okay, there's more atheists, there's more agnostics, there's more. There's a very good trend in that. Is this a way of being able to hit back against science? Because truly, science is one of the things that you should be able to rely on. You should be able to go ahead and, okay, I get it. I read the story. I read the study, and I was able to do it. I would be able to repeat it, and okay, that's accurate. It is absolutely lockstep in there.
Right.
Is this the only way to combat that we can't trust religion? We have to go ahead and go after science, so we can't trust science?
Wow. I mean, that's that's fucking profound, dude. I mean, maybe because it was for thousands of years, it was, hey, trust us. Just have faith in the Lord. Have faith in what I'm telling
He
you.
shall
because
provide.
I'm close, right. I'm closer to the Lord than you are. You don't know. I know. Trust me. And then science came along and was like, hey, fuck you and your God. I'm going to prove these things replicatably. And now it's like, because I don't know what the percentages are, but I definitely know the Catholic Church is, and we're just talking about one tiny sliver of the religious quote unquote population out there. But Catholic religion, the Catholic Church is in a world of hurt. Their tithings are down. Their what viewership? I don't know if you call it viewership, but their attendance in church is, I mean, it's way down. I don't know the exact percentages, but it doesn't look good for the religions of the world, the churches of the world, the religious leaders of the world. They're losing constituents daily. I mean, you might be right, man. It's like, hey, don't put all your faith into science and things that you can quote unquote prove. Come back to the Lord, because what He says is right, and you should believe us. I don't know. I like that take. You might be onto something there.
Missouri House Republicans vote to defund libraries.
Fuck you. That's all I have to say to that.
As soon as you start defunding a fucking library,
yeah.
One, there's a lot of stuff that you don't want your people to read or be aware of. Two, you're shitting on knowledge.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
I just don't know where this comes from. Missouri House Republicans voted to defund all of the state's public libraries in a proposed $45.6 billion state budget that will soon move to a vote in the GOP-controlled state Senate. The Missouri House debated for over 8 hours last Tuesday on a budget that is roughly $2 billion less than Governor Mike Parson proposed last January, cutting not only $44.5 billion Parson had slated for libraries, but also cost for diversity initiatives, childcare, and pre-kindergarten programs.
Can you fathom, McShane? Can you fathom the idea that libraries would be defunded 20 years ago?
No.
30 years ago when we were in high school?
No, that's 1984 shit.
It was unfathomable. I mean, yes, there were debates about, should Catcher in the Rye be part of a high school library because, they talk about being gay. But there was never any talk about we're going to defund the library. I mean, why don't we just burn all the libraries down? With just Library of Alexandria, Part 2. Just burn it all down. Fuck everything. We don't need knowledge. Let's just trust the politicians. Jesus Christ.
A rural Texas county has voted to drop discussion for now of possibly defunding the county's library system after a federal judge ordered it to return more than a dozen banned books to library shelves. Now, this is in Texas. Honest to God, when you start getting into banning books, when you talk about defunding libraries, which is the whole goal of a library is to have a centerpiece of knowledge. It's there for everybody to come and say, hey, I have books that are going to inform you about any topic that you want, and we want you to be at least have access to them. Now, I understand that some of the books might be controversial, but you still fucking put them out there. You may put it in a different area, but you still fucking put them out there. It's surreal to me that we're actually here.
Yep.
This is 1984 shit.
Yep.
And it's just Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yes. You know what it feels like? It feels like we're all a bunch of 8-year-olds, and we stumbled into, Dad's, study, and we found a Playboy, and Dad comes in and says, oh no, son, you're not ready for that. You can't handle that. And makes the decision for us, because no 8-year-old should be looking at a Playboy, and shoos us out of the room. But so that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like the government is doing. But what they're not realizing is we're fucking all adults here, and we can choose to seek out and find any knowledge we want to, and we get to deal with the consequences of knowing that knowledge. Instead, they're like, no, son, you're not ready for this. We've got this. I mean, it is that is the line that I draw. I mean, I for many years felt I was a liberal. I was a Democrat. I was excited that Obama got voted in. I didn't vote for him, but I was excited he got in. I didn't vote for the other guy either. I didn't vote for anybody that year. Well, actually, that's not true. I voted for myself. But then I remember this one lady that Obama won, and I remember this one lady. They gave an interview, or she gave an interview, and she was like, I'm just so excited because now that Obama's in, he's going to buy me a new car and he's going to buy me a house. And it just shook me. It was like, so you have this mindset that because a person is now the president, that he can pat you on the head and say, okay, you're not intelligent enough. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not talented enough. I'll take care of you. And it was just, to me, that's so offensive. I mean, there needs to be government safety nets for people who stumble and fall, for people who get pregnant when they're not ready to be, for people who try and start a business and it dies. There has to be some safety nets there. I want those safety nets there. But we have a lot of people right now who are milking the system for nothing, for no reason at all, other than they don't want to work. And that philosophy is being perpetuated, and all we're doing is making ourselves less resilient, fatter, sicker, and not willing to get the fuck up tomorrow and go to work. That's what we're breeding right now, and it offends me, and I'm surprised more people aren't offended by it. I know the listeners of this show, they get it. I'm speaking. No, it's okay, but we need to absolutely get back to what made America great was a lot of hard work, a lot of elbow grease, and not social fucking programs that just protected you in case, you got your feelings hurt. And I don't know where we lost our way there, but we are lost, and we need to get back to it.
Fitz, it's been a banger of a night. And I think the only responsible way to take this one out is to talk a little bit about Gen X. Can we do that?
Absolutely. I am a proud card-carrying member of Gen X.
This is a TikTok. I think it's interwoven with DJ Diaz. And let's go and listen.
Who let Gen X off the hook? Why aren't we talking shit about those guys?
Hello, 51-year-old Gen X here. Thank you for your questions and acknowledging the fact that we actually exist. To answer your initial question, if you saw a bear walking around the streets or in the woods minding its own business, would you keep on walking or would you approach it to fuck around and find out? Most people don't talk shit about us because they forgot that we even exist. I mean, we are called the forgotten generation for a reason. Our numbers are much smaller than the boomers and millennials, so we're the middle child stuck in between both of them. Sarcasm is also one of our love languages, so even if someone were to talk shit about us, chances are we didn't give enough of a fuck to take it seriously.
They were teenagers in the 80s.
False statement. We were forced to become teenagers and adults between the ages of 7 and 9. We were latchkey kids. We were left at home all the time by our parents to fend for ourselves or our siblings once we got old enough to form complete sentences. And if we weren't home alone by ourselves, we were either out in the streets or the woods, drinking out of warm garden hoses, water sliding in our front yards, or going up the street to our local a tetanus shot waiting to happen type playground, whether it's spinning around the merry-go-round of doom or going down a hot metal slide during the summer, or simply just hang out with our friends in the streets, sometimes on our BMX bikes, our big wheels, or the bicycles with the tassels on the handlebars with the basket in front where sometimes we'd place our younger siblings in. Just imagine constantly being in survival mode and being told by your parents to either walk it off or rub some dirt in it whenever you got hurt. We were able to do all of that and still make it home before the streetlights turned on.
They had the coolest music.
100% agree with you. And this is not me being biased, being that I grew up in the 70s and the 80s and got to experience all of this stuff, but rather based on facts. To back this up, let's look at some 80s trends currently making a comeback. Let's start with some 1980s movie remakes such as Ghostbusters, Firestarter, Dune, Footloose, Carrie, just to name a few. And can we all agree that Cobra Kai is one of the best TV series based on a movie that we've seen in recent years? And let's not forget about Stranger Things. Next up, 80s fashion, bell-bottom jeans, big bangle bracelets, acid-washed anything, leg warmers, big bright neon colors, fanny packs, I can keep going. Our music became classical rock and is now featured in grocery stores worldwide. You want to know the best way to spot a Gen Xer in the wild? Go to your local grocery store, and if they're playing any 80s music track, look for that one individual that's lip-syncing the entire song under their breath or dancing with their cart by themselves in the frozen food section.
Where are those motherfuckers now?
Based on the overwhelming response that your video received, I think it's safe to say that we've always been here, just sitting here drinking our coffee and watching the shit show. So yeah, you can go ahead and try to talk shit about Gen X, but chances are we're just gonna look at you and say, I don't even give a fuck. Whatever.
And suck my dick.
So true. I cannot tell you how much I identify with that dude. He's a little bit older than me, but I'm right there with you, bro. You know what I love too? Like, you can tell he's from Hawaii because he gives the hang loose, mahalo, fucking hands sign while he's telling you to fuck off. And that is so Generation X. Like, hey,
it is.
Fuck the fuck off, but peace be with you, my brother. Like,
yeah.
I mean, if you mind your own business and you stay on your side of the street, we have zero problem. If you come on my side of the street and start shit,
I'll fuck you up.
Yeah, you're about to fuck around and find out. So
that is
that was a great video.
At Brian INHEELEE on TikTok. So unless you're in Montana, which that was banned, so I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, we didn't get to that, but what the fuck? How do you even make that happen?
We didn't get to that, and there's absolutely no fucking way that's ever gonna be enforceable. But yeah,
good
fuck
luck,
Montana.
Good luck, Montana. Yeah.
So here's all the Gen Xers out there who are just fucking grinding because you know what?
It's just
we're
what we
stronger.
do. Yeah,
it's what we fucking do.
Yep.
It's what we fucking do, and we're gonna. You know what? I'm gonna make this shout out now. I'm gonna make this call. Fitz, I want you to write this down.
All right, got a pen.
Okay, in 150 years, when we start looking at lifespans, the Gen Xers are going to have the longest lifespans of all. Okay, all right. We'll act on that in about 200 years. So make sure you keep that handy.
Oh yeah, no, it's written down. It's in ink, so it's immutable now.
What beer are you taking to bed?
Oh God, this ale song. I honestly, it wasn't even a fair fight tonight because that volume 3 of Life was, less than. But I would put this ale song up against pretty much any sour out there. The subtlety of it, and yet the kind of in your face. I'm gonna sit on your face, and you're gonna like it. And I'll tell you when to breathe. It's just. God damn, great beer. Really, really great beer. I owe my neighbors, like, I don't know. I'm going to have to go out and find some kind of a special fucking rare gem just to pay him back for this beer, because this was phenomenal. And definitely not planned for tonight, but I'm so glad it happened. And I got to share it with everybody because it's a great beer.
So I'll tell you what. Let me go and I'll send something from Arizona. They're not going to be able to get up there.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That would be
let me go and I'll send something up there. A little thank you. I've already started my next beer box to you has already been started. So I will go ahead and add something else to that. So that you can throw that in there with your neighbors there.
Hey, did you know that the Postal Service does not if you write on the outside of your box live yeast samples, they don't check the box. They don't care if it's a liquid. they just send it on and it's a live yeast sample and they never check it. And so, for the smart, shippers out there, act accordingly, because as long as you write that on there, they can't check it.
All right. Well,
Just saying.
There you go. We actually have another beer share that we need to do with Moose Lounge.
We do, and also with Gray's Pub. I mean, that conversation's basically been going since we met those fine folks, and we need to make that happen, because they have some really amazing shit going on out there in Louisville, and so I think a beer exchange needs to happen. I'm throwing down the gauntlet. I think I had to say it, Aaron from I Had to Say It. I think whatever area you're in, I want to say he's in the Chicago area, but I might be wrong.
He's in Illinois.
Illinois, yeah. So, I mean, whatever beers you can find there. I mean, let's whore each other out here. Let's exchange this shit. I have stuff up here you'll never find, and you have stuff I'll never find. So let's start an orgy, a beer sending orgy. Let's do it.
So let's do this. You take Gray's, I'll
Okay.
take Moose Lounge.
Okay.
And we'll go ahead and coordinate a show.
Love it.
All right. So we'll figure out when we've got everything done, and then we'll kind of go from there.
I love it. We could really be starting something here. This is awesome.
So I'm taking to bed all the bootleg snacks, all of them, every goddamn one of them. Really fun beer. There's a lot going on. Good spicy flavor, chocolatey, a lot of sweetness, very decadent. It's definitely an end of the night beer. This is an 11.1 percenter. Just dug it. Just really, really dug it. Which, when you look at what I started off with, was fine.
Sure.
But not. I mean, that's not a. Let's be honest. That's not a whiskey hell beer. It just isn't.
No.
If you guys would like to follow us, it's at whiskey_hell on Twitter. whiskeyhellpod@gmail.com is the website. I'm sorry, that's actually the email. And then whiskeyhellpod .com is going to be the website if you guys want to check us out. I'm Steve McShane.
I am Fitz, and we love every one of you.
Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.